This video is going to be a Theorycraft video or Ghost of the Deep prep for next week. The Rite of the 9 dungeon rotations are going to be Spider the Watcher 2 weeks, Ghost of the Deep 2 weeks, Prophecy 2 weeks. Next Tuesday will be Ghost of the Deep. Now disclaimer, Rite of the 9 will tweak mechanics. They've done it in Spire. They will probably do it in Ghost as well. How much they do it, I don't know. But one can assume that in Ghost of the Deep, there will still be overshields for the bosses. This is the only dungeon in the game that has, when DPS starts, you've got to physically take off the shield. The mechanics won't do that for you. So this presents a bit of a problem because Rite of the 9 has not swap. That's only on ultimatum though, remember. It's not for Explorer. It's not for Eternity. It's only for ultimatum, not swap. And the problem with Ghost of the Deep, the history of it since Witch Queen, is that we as D2 vets have been heavily relying on one weapon for Ghost of the Deep. And that involves swaps. And the weapon I'm talking about is Arbalest. So what people would do is one-shot the shield with Arbalest, then swap to a different loadout to do increased damage. People are still doing it today. And I feel as though it's a problem in the game because Arbalest, it's a one-trick pony. It's more of a tool. That's all it is. Nobody uses Arbalest because they want to. They're just using it because it one-shots a shield. That is it. But like I said, this video is going to explore the grey area on what else is there to actually melt the shield. Yeah? Because if you were to do the standard stock Arbalest rotation, say it's on the final boss, you would go Arbalest, heavy linear of your choice with particle reconstruction. That will melt the boss. We're lucky we've got particle for ghosts. It's actually huge that we have it. But that's kindergarten stuff, that. Why should I need to tell you kindergarten stuff when that knowledge has been around for 5 years? This video is more about the grey area on, well actually, there's some stuff that you can do that's quite interesting in the game for Ghost of the Deep with the loadouts that I'm suggesting. So that is Microcosm I'm talking about. Microcosm does increased damage to shields. It's 400%. It's a 400% buff to shields. After my testing against Ghost of the Deep bosses, it takes the shield down in a second or 1.5 second roundabout. You let the footage, you can judge it. So you can use this like Arbalest, but you can build into it. You can stack a lot of buffs, which I'm going to go through. Now for Ghost of the Deep, the stuff that I tested, I'm only on Walkie, I haven't tested Titan Hunter. Now that would require more hours of testing. I don't want to put too many hours testing in this because Ghost of the Deep might launch next week with some huge mechanic change that I'm not aware of, and all my testing was for nothing. So I'm not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but I'm going to go deep enough to dip my toes to be aware of what my findings are. And all this video is to show you my findings. So yeah, I think you should be thankful for that a little bit, because I could be secret about this and keep this knowledge to myself. I'm not being funny with you, I'm being real. Yeah, I'm not withholding information, and I could. This is a very good, important find, good strats. Especially solo wise. Fireteam wise, it's less important. Okay, so the builds that I tested, the 3 main ones. Number 1, Necrotic Grip Song of Flame, because it adds poison to your damage. And remember, Necrotic Grip full does more damage, poison-wise, than its spirit counterpart. We also tested Sanguine Alchemy with Microcosm on Well of Radiance. Because remember, Well of Radiance is 25% radiant, whereas standard radiance 20%. And Sanguine has extra benefits. I'll talk into it in a minute. And then finally, well, I did test 2 things. Spirit Necrotic, Star Eater. Right, with Nova Bomb. So Star Eater's Nova Bomb in combination with taking down the shield very quickly to then do my Nova. Right. I also tested Song of Flame Star Eaters. It's not actually worth it. From my testings, it's actually better off to just, if you're going to do Song of Flame, you just do full Necrotic. It's actually much more beneficial. Reason being is because Necrotic Grip will give you so much more benefits transcendence wise and super wise, whereas Spirit of Star Eaters for Song of Flame isn't as good because it only buffs the super portion of it, and it's a worse version of Transcendence. This is very advanced information, so you need to listen very closely to it. It's interesting, after my tests today, is that Necrotic Grip Song of Flame is competitive to Spirit of Star Eater's Song of Flame. But what is an outlier in this is, I'll tell you out right now, the most damage is Spirit of Star Eater's Nova Bomb. Because the thing about this is, Microcosm will take down the shield straight away, meaning that your super is not ate up by an overshield. That's what this strat's all about. But we can then build into it. So here's the buffs. Here's all the buffs. I'm not going to give you the total number. I'm just going to give you the buffs that's going on. Buff number 1, Harsh Refraction. Microcosm is individually balanced. It gets a 20% buff no matter what elemental, but you just need to have the boss be stuck by elemental debuff. Solar Scorch, Freezing, all that stuff. You're going to get the 20% buff. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. Right? That's buff number 1. Buff number 2, this is more for our super, but Limit Break. Limit Break will buff your either your Song of Flame or Nova Bomb when you've got an elemental buff. 30%, it's huge. The next buff that was up is Radiant. Radiant is a 20% buff on Prismatic. It's 25% on Well of Radiance. Okay? And then we've got, after that, Kinetic Surges. Remember, Microcosm is a kinetic weapon. It's not a heavy weapon. It is a heavy weapon, but it's kinetic element. This is 22% buff. Then you've got, this is very complicated. Then you've got Paracausal Imbuement. This is a 20% buff for 20 seconds after super ends. Huge. Then you've got the 400% buff for shields, like I said. Then you've got 15% debuff, Facet of Dominance. Remember everybody, Transcendence nades are void nades. This is the most asked questions about Warlock in 2025 is, why is he using Facet of Dominance if he hasn't got a Void or Arc nade on? Because read your tooltips, people. This is so basic. All your Prismatic beginners, please read your tooltips for every class, for every nade. Hunters does Solar and Stasis. Warlock does Void and Stasis. Yeah, and then Titan does Electric and Strand. Arc and Strand. You've got to read your tooltips. Come on, you can read, I know you can. This is so basic. And having Facet of Dominance on allows you to do so much more because you've got Maligned Harvest to get the overshield. This allows you to play very aggressive in DPS scenarios for Ghost of the Deep. This has to go on, especially on a Warlock. On a Warlock, you need to put this on. Even on a Hunter as well with Smoke Bomb, as I've mentioned. So you're able to really build stack for Microcosm, like I said. It's a huge amount of buffs. But yeah, imagine what else you could do. For example, you could do Chaos Reach Geomags in combination with Microcosm, because Microcosm can be build crafted into the Ghosts because it's going to take down the shield so that your super's not et. If you super the boss without taking his shield down, you're going to lose super damage because of it. So you need to either run Microcosm or Arbalest, really, to be honest. On a solo perspective, Microcosm isn't going to do the damage Lord of Wolves would. Remember that. Especially with Sagwian Well. So this is going back to Sagwian Well. Sagwian Well is okay, but it's only okay. Star Eater Nova is better than Sagwian. The reason being is because Sagwian adds an extra 10% damage when you mark a target. It gives you times 4 surges, but the problem is Microcosm is a kinetic weapon, it's not a solar weapon. So it's not going to get the times 4 buff, which means you need to independently put Kinetic Surge on, so you get 22%. Then you get an extra 10% from Sagwian. The problem with this build is there's no debuffs in it. Now, you could add Wyvern Gears, but what you need to understand is when you do that, the debuff's only 6 seconds, right? Whereas the debuff from Prismatic, if I just go to it now, the debuff from Facet of Dominance, you get more debuffs from it because you've got a Transcendence. Well of Radiance doesn't have transcendence. So do you see now the problem with this? You're not going to get as much. I mean, it's going to be okay for you, but I think if you're going to go Sanguine Well Warlock, you need to go a lot of Wolves, because Microcosm's not taking massive benefits from it. And from my findings, it's actually not worth it to run Sanguine. And everybody else would say it is, but it's not in this case. And the clips will show you that. Not only that, you've committed to Well, and Well's rubbish. Yeah, Well's only good for one thing. If you go Prismatic Necrotic, it's got so much more accessibility because Song of Flame can be used for more than just DPS. You can pre-prep with Song of Flame. You can't do that with Well. So the benefits from Sanguine aren't worth it. You're also, not to mention, you're on a solo subclass. It's worse than Prismatic. Why would you do? You don't need to do it. The only reason why you would run Sanguine, in my opinion, at least on the first boss, is to run Lord of Wolves. Even though it got nerfed, it still hits hard, and you'll get the times 4 buff. So that's my information on it. Like I say, I'll show you the footage on each build, like I said. But yeah, that was the information. Okay, so first clip is Well of Radiance with Sanguine Alchemy with Microcosm. Let's see how quickly the Overshield gets deleted and how it plans out with Well of Radiance. And compare the Well of Radiance clip, please, to the Song of Flame clips on how much different they are. I mean, they're similar in damage, but how does it actually go? Is it stressful? Is it not stressful? So I get my final imbue. The plan is to go to middle. As soon as, of course. Right, we're going to melt down this Knight, then pop Well first, then Shield. Look at that. Instant delete. Okay, so now I'm going to burn the boss because I need Harsh Refraction. And the goal now is just to keep holding down right trigger for the Microcosm. I'll throw in a couple of Lost Signal shots just to increase damage a little bit. Let's check damage. Paracle's Imbuement ends. Look at the damage. Anything less than V damage isn't worth it. It's not that good. Let's see what the damage is. Are we getting to V? Letter V. So the damage is okay. And it's, you know, not too bad. But I think we can do better than that. Let's see what the... So it's past V damage. So it's passable. But Lord of Wolves would be much more better than this. If you're going to use Sanguine Well, you may as well use Lord of Wolves. Yeah? But let's see what the game tells me. Because Warlock Loyalist would tell you Sanguine Well is going to be best for this, and that's false. Yeah, 3.4. Look at that. And we're on a solo subclass, and we can't take advantage of Prismatic. So, let's see what it's like on Prismatic now with Song of Flame. Not to mention, we've got Facet of Dominance for extra debuff. We can stack more buffs on this way of playing. Plus, we've got Poison. This is Song of Flame, Necrotic Grip full. So we pop super as we go to middle. This is clutch. We melt down the Knight quicker than before. Look, the shield goes down quickly. And now we're going to do a bit of damage rotation with the super. A little bit, but not too much. Doing a bit of mixture. The buff will happen after Song of Flame ends for the Paracausal Imbuement. Look, let's pay attention to damage. Now we can use Helion for extra damage. That procs the Harsh Refraction. And we can debuff the boss, look, and get overshields and stuff. Check damage. Look at the damage. This is already looking a little bit better than Sanguine already. And it's easy to do. And it's more survivability. So it's already outweighed it. And it's slightly more damage. Only slightly, but more damage is more damage. And it's easier. You've got to look at easiness, not just more damage. What is it retrospective like compared to doing just a well, which is boring, right? 3.6. It's already slightly more. And it's easier to use. But we're going to take it a step further than that. Let's take advantage of Microcosm because you can one-shot the shield very fast. That means we can do the strongest Star Eater super on Warlock, which is Nova Bomb on Prismatic. It's better than Needle Storm. It's better than all that. So same thing. We take the Knight down slower on this run. Look, it's a little bit slower, but the shield goes down just about the same. Then we pop Transcendence for Facet of Dominance debuff. Then Nova. Yeah, then a bit of Lost Signal damage. Then we do Helion plus Radiant with a melee. Then look, Paracausal Imbuement plus debuff. Look at the damage we start doing on this. So we end up getting 4.1 mil on this. But it's a little bit more riskier than Song of Flame. but the reward to risk ratio is actually pretty good. So next week I might do Styrated Scale Nova Bomb. I might do Necrotic Song of Flame. It's a toss up between the two, but it's more damage on this one, look. But look at, I guess it is not too bad to pull off, because of Malign Harvest gives you Overshield. So it's actually not bad. So Nova Bomb could be the way to go. Look, 4.1, it's much better than Sanguine. Sanguine loyalists won't like it. I'm not bothered what you like. I want to tell you the truth. Doesn't matter. Right, now it's the farm boss. Let's see how it is on the farm boss. This was just Song of Flame, Necrotic Grip. What does he perform like? Microcosm on this. And he performs pretty good. But there are more higher DPS options. But let's look at ease of use for this. Not so much the damage, but more ease of use. Pop Song of Flame, look at the shield gets melted. And what you want to do on this one is play really aggressive, and you can stay alive very well. This does not require crits, as in from a linear fusion. The boss keeps TPing. You lose damage because of the boss. I hate this about Simiwa. I hope they rework it so that this boss does not keep teleporting, because you lose damage because of it. But look at what it's doing. Right, we're doing pretty half decent damage. So it's more accessible. You get less damage than other builds, but it's actually pretty damn nice on the farm boss as well. Obviously, we'll have to see what the boss's health are next week. If it's reduced, then this build will only be that much better next week. We'll have to see. Ultimatum will obviously have more health than this. But that was a video on Microcosm with the shield mechanic. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.